Welcome to this Tuesday episode of All the Talk, All the Sports. I'm Gary Wenzel, and we have a very packed schedule today covering every sport that you can imagine from college football to NBA, NHL, MLB, and the NFL. It's a packed schedule today on this episode of All the Talk, All the Sports. Gonna get some great hot takes. I have a guest, Eli Hauser, joins me to discuss some NBA and make some bold NBA predictions as they head into the conference finals. The NHL moves along in the playoffs as well. I got MLB power rankings coming for you, and the NFL starts this week, and I have some college football predictions for you to wrap this podcast out. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoy all our podcasts and love seeing great content, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me and the crew here at All the Talk, All the Sports. So we got a loaded episode here for you today on All the Talk, All the Sports. Now let's send it over to Eli and I to kick off this awesome episode. I'm now joined with Eli Hauser for some NBA predictions, as there are currently 4 series going on, then to decide the conference finals, and then eventually make it all the way into the NBA finals. Eli Hauser, I welcome you onto the podcast. You're a big NBA guy, I know that for sure. A big 76ers fan. How you feel about them getting knocked out a while ago, but haven't had people on the show for a while. So how do you feel about your Sixers getting knocked out?
It was ugly. I mean, guess nothing you can do about it. Ben Simmons was injured, so just looking forward to next season.
Yeah, and then I understand, like I mentioned before and always, I'm not a big NBA guy, but I understand that there's some coaching troubles in Philadelphia, as I believe they fired their last head coach. Is this correct, Eli?
Yeah, Brett Brown was fired. And I want to say like right after the series was over. Made limited changes and we just flat start game.
So, Eli, I have to ask you, who do you think is the head coaching race winner for the 76ers to get their new head coach? Who do you think their new head coach will be at Wells Fargo Center next season?
I think it will be Ty Lue, but I don't want it to be like an older, experienced guy. I'd rather have it be a younger guy. So, but if I had to pick someone, it would probably be Ty Lue right now.
That's very interesting that you don't want an older, experienced guy, because I know personally I don't know much about basketball, but if it was any of my favorite teams from any other sport, I would definitely take experience over young. So that's a very interesting point that you bring up. But enough of talking about the 76ers. Let's get into some predictions, starting with the Western Conference, as the Lakers, the number 1 seed, are taking on the number 4 seed, Houston Rockets. That series is tied at 1 game apiece. Who do you think makes it to the Western Conference between those two teams?
I think it's going to be the Lakers. I think the Rockets, especially in that series versus Thunder, they just looked – they didn't have Russell Westbrook for 4 games, but James Harden can't get it done by himself, and I think that's what they're going to try and make him do. So I think the Lakers will win in 5 or 6.
That's a good prediction. I did watch one of their games. I think it might have been, I forget what night, Sunday night, I think. And that was the one that the Lakers won. So I'm actually going to go with the Rockets here. No, I like James Harden and Russell Westbrook there in Houston. So Denver in the other Los Angeles team, the Clippers. The Clippers are up 2-1 on the Nuggets. Who do you got winning there and going to the Western Conference to face the Lakers, you said?
I have the Nuggets. Jamal Murray has been literally unstoppable. Michael Porter Jr. last night had a great game, even though they lost. And the Clippers, outside of Kawhi, it's really been no one else helping him. Paul George has been awful this whole playoff run, but we'll see.
So you think that one goes to 7?
I do.
Interesting. Yeah. So currently the Clippers are up 2-1, but Eli takes the Nuggets. So now let's move to the Eastern Conference, where the Miami Heat are up 3-1 on the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. So who do you have? Wait, is that one already set?
No.
All right. So it's bolded. All right, that's my bad. So, do you have the Miami Heat or the Milwaukee Bucks going to the Eastern Conference Finals?
That all depends if Giannis plays this next game. If Giannis plays this next game, I think the Bucks will win in 7. If he does not play this next game, I think the Heat win it. They win this game, game 5, and they go to the conference finals.
That's very interesting coming from you, considering that the Miami Heat are up by a total of 2 games. But I know I've seen hockey teams be up 3-1 and then let it go to 7, and then all 3 of those teams that let it go to 3-1 actually ended up winning the series. So that's interesting. That's a very hot take, I'd say, as Giannis obviously out with that leg injury. So that's a very interesting take there from both sides of the spectrum. But then on the other side of the Eastern Conference, it's the Boston Celtics that have a 3-2 game lead on the Toronto Raptors. Who do you have closing out that series and facing the Bucks or Heat in the finals?
I think it's Boston. I think they'll close it out in game 6. I mean, when they played Philly, Jason Tatum was just, he couldn't miss. So there's no one on the Raptors, in my opinion, that can cover Jason Tatum. So I think they win in 6.
Very interesting. So there you have it. That's all the predictions that we've got for today. We'll be back when the conference finals are set for his NBA Finals predictions, and it's the NBA Finals champion. So that wraps up this NBA segment. Let's get back to talking about a bunch of other leagues on this full-packed lineup episode from All the Talk, All the Sports. ESPN just released their power rankings last night for their top 10 teams in the MLB currently, but I am going to be ranking my top 10 MLB teams right now currently and my MLB Power Rankings edition. So, starting off with number 10, let's get right into this. At number 10, I have the Minnesota Twins out of the AL Central. They are 3rd place in the American League Central. How about the American League Central? The American League Central is packed right now. 3 teams all battling it out for first place in that division. First and second place, actually, to make the playoffs. 3 teams all within 1 game of each other. 2 of them are tied for first place, and they're coming up later in the rankings. At number 9, I have the Chicago Cubs from the NL Central. That division is struggling this year, actually. A division that's usually pretty strong and pretty competitive. The Cubs have a hold on that division big, and they are easily going to lock up that first place spot, in my opinion. The A's of Oakland from Oakland are my number 8 team on this week's MLB Power Rankings from Gary Wenzel and All the Talk, All the Sports. The A's in the AL West, they lead that division right now, and they look like they might get themselves a playoff spot pretty securely. At number 7, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. They are a phenomenal team in Buffalo right now from the AL East. Better than the Yankees and the Red Sox. So they look fundamentally sound. That young talent is starting to show up as they were predicted to. They got off to a little bit of a slow start this season, but they are quickly picking up things, and they land themselves 7 on my MLB Power Rankings list. Number 6, I have the Atlanta Braves. They are currently up big on the NL East standings. The Phillies are kind of catching them a little bit, but I think the Braves secure that number 1 spot in the NL East. At number 5, as we break the top 5, is the Chicago White Sox, another AL Central team, and then they look phenomenal as well. Them and the team ahead of them, the Cleveland Indians, who are number 4. The Indians and the White Sox are battling out for that first place position. Even when one of them wins, one of them's going to get second right now. It looks as if that, but it is a pretty competitive and tight division up there in the American League Central. And number 3, I have the San Diego Padres. So much young talent. They won the trades that prior to the trade deadline. They are phenomenal. I mean, I'm hopping on the Padres bandwagon right now. Fernando Tatis Jr., the list goes on and on. Manny Machado now. Mike Clevenger joins that starting rotation. I think the Padres have a chance to make a run and win the World Series. I do not think they... You know what? Give me the Padres. Give me the Padres as the World Series champions for this year. They are in a tough division with the Los Angeles Dodgers, but give me the San Diego Padres to win that division. Not win the division, but win the World Series. At number 2, I have the Tampa Bay Rays from the AL East. They look super, super amazing right now. They lead the AL East on top of the Yankees pretty handily, actually. And I think they secure that first spot for the AL East. Not even a question here. The Los Angeles Dodgers are first place on my MLB Power Rankings. That wraps that up. Now let's talk some NFL for you. As the NFL kicks off this week, Thursday night, 8:20 p.m., the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans will go head-to-head. That one's on NBC. Great game to kick off the 2020 NFL season. Then a Sunday packed full of games from divisional games all the way on Sunday. So that is basically everything I want to talk about with the NFL. Kind of kept that short and sweet. Now let's talk some NHL hockey as the conference finals are set. They're already underway. And it's the Lightning and the New York Islanders. The Lightning hold a 1-0 game lead over the New York Islanders as the Lightning defeated the Islanders 8-1 last night. 8-1. How about that? Lightning laying it on early, showing him who's boss. And I think the Lightning handle this series pretty easily. And how about this? A little bit of an interesting take here for the Western Conference Final. The Dallas Stars are up 1-0 on the Vegas Golden Knights. So the Stars have a 1-game lead over the Golden Knights. That first game is so big in determining who is the big brother of that series. I think the Lightning win in 5 or 6, but I think the Stars and Knights go to 7, but I do have the Knights taking that series from the Stars. So interesting stuff in the hockey world right now. So the Stars and Golden Knights was a low-scoring game. The Lightning and Islanders was a high-scoring game. So we'll see if that trend stays on tact for the NHL. So now let's talk some college football and some predictions that I have for this Saturday. I have 3 game predictions for this college football Saturday. But before I get into those, College Game Day on ESPN is heading to Wake Forest University. The Demon Deacons will be the host of the College Game Day pregame show on Saturday, September 12th. And that is the first time that College Game Day ever will make a trip down to Winston-Salem and host a show on Wake Forest campus. I'm not sure if they're going to do it in the stadium or on the campus, but that is awesome stuff for the Wake Forest University, just whole university and athletic program. I know my cousin goes there. She just graduated from there, so that's awesome stuff. Beautiful campus, so great stuff there in Winston-Salem. So unfortunately, though, there will not be fans at that game hosting the number 1 Clemson Tigers or at the pregame show for College Game Day. So let's get right into these 3 predictions that I have. They're all from the ACC. They are the only conference right now that has in-conference games this week. So the Big 12 is playing, but they're not playing in-conference. So none of those games are good, all cupcake games. But starting next weekend and then the following weekend, September 26th, things are going to get very interesting in the college football world. So let's get right into it with Duke and Notre Dame. Notre Dame joins the ACC for football this year in this crazy 2020 college football season. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are in the ACC for every other sport that they have in South Bend, but now they join the ACC. And a lot of people asked, what would it take to get the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to join a conference? How about a global pandemic? In the great words of Reese Davis from ESPN and College Game Day. Love that show. Make sure to tune in. 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Saturday morning. But Duke at Notre Dame South Bend. Notre Dame is ranked 10th. Give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I think blood runs high in anyone's first game, especially in a crazy season like this. I think I'm taking Notre Dame big. So that's who I got. The Fighting Irish win this one against the Blue Devils. So then another ACC game, Georgia Tech will head to Tallahassee to face the Florida State Seminoles. I have the Florida State Seminoles in this one as well. I have them not pretty big, but a little, definitely double digits, probably 2 possessions. Georgia Tech, a different offense, not usually good in the ACC, usually at the bottom list from the ACC standings. So give me the Florida State Seminoles. They got a new coach in Mike Norvell. So I think he's going to do great things for that Florida State program that has been historically good, but over the past few years have been on a skid. But they bring in a new head coach from Memphis. He's an excellent coach. If you watched any of his games at Memphis, you're easily able to see that. So good stuff there for Florida State. I have them taking the victory there in the nightcap. Saturday Night Football on ABC. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons will host the #1 Clemson Tigers. Is there any question in this one? The Clemson Tigers, Trevor Lawrence is returning, Travis Etienne, I believe. These guys are just electric. Their offense is electric. Their defensive line is probably one of the best defensive lines in the country. They're hungry. The Tigers are hungry, man. This all-conference game, they want to prove that they are national championship worthy. They want to win that national title this year, as LSU took it from them last year. So, give me the Tigers all the way. Big. I'm taking the Tigers by 30 in this one. Unfortunately, Wake Forest, I love that school. My cousin goes there, like I mentioned earlier. But unfortunately, sorry, Demon Deacons. Sorry to all my family that's watching this. I'm going to have to go with Clemson Tigers in this one big. So that wraps up college football, talking and making some predictions there. So I'm super excited for the episode I have coming Thursday. I'll talk about the NFL game that happened the night before between the Chiefs and the Texans, and I'll also talk about the upcoming games that Sunday for Week 1. So it's going to be an exciting episode Friday. How about this one? It was an exciting episode today as well. So thank you all so much for tuning into this All the Talk, All the Sports podcast.